We gotta.
That's what I'm talking about. So today we have been absolutely graced, blessed, and honored to have somebody special that's going to share a little bit with us. And it's really so interesting how, I know you can see her, and I know when you see her, you know who she is, despite what the name says at the bottom. And when I first met her, which has only been a minute ago, I didn't see the face. I just saw the name. And I said, Dr. Marshall, is she related? Is she related? And we did not know who we had in the house. And so for this section, we have with us Miss Donnita Hathaway. All right, you got to unmute, baby. We want to hear you applaud. We want to hear.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to be too outlandish. Like,
oh no, by all means.
Welcome.
You have permission to be outlandish. Welcome to Alive and Free Street Soldiers. And we used to have the radio. Now we're Facebook Live. And so you bless your heart for being our special guest for this section, Miss Donnita.
And actually, if we were in the studio doing it on the radio, we wouldn't be able to see you. So this is a treat.
Absolutely.
At the same time, and
one of the blessings of this crazy phenomenon that's going on now.
Yeah,
we can see each other.
Oh my goodness! Yes. So typically, Dr. Marshall does all the interviewing. So we're gonna back and forth. We're gonna be asking you questions, talking to you, and listening to you as you share your story and what you do, the gift that you bring, the difference you're making in the lives of young people, all people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. So it's an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
All right, Dr. Marshall.
Well, and say, this show goes a lot of places, Ms. Hathaway. We saw a map of this. And tell them what the show was. We saw the map of this. Somebody in Russia was listening to this show, watching this show. So, girl, I don't know if you're gonna get to Russia, but you're gonna get to Russia this way.
Okay.
You're gonna get to South America.
That is actually one place I have not been.
I've
been blessed to travel, but not Russia.
Well,
I'm with you on that one. I'm not going to Russia. No.
Where have you been?
Well, you know what? The music scene there is actually, the soul music scene there is actually pretty nice.
Really?
You'd be surprised.
You're right.
They rapping too?
I don't know if they're rapping, but they love soul music.
Really?
Same. Germany, same thing.
Yeah, Germany. I know Germany. Yeah, I know.
But when you think about it, they're not that far apart, like in distance, in history.
That's true.
But oppressed people, we all need that healing.
That's true. Which is a great segue.
Lady said, we got to go back to the beginning and introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them who you are, what you do, because they just think we're just chopping it up. We are, but we got to tell people we chopping
absolutely.
It up with. So.
Absolutely. So my name is Donnita Hathaway. I am a very proud daughter of the late, greatest singer of all time, Donny Hathaway. I've been actually a personal assistant to two major recording artists, India Ari and Music Soul Child. I currently assist, I feel, one of the baddest organizations and organizers in the South, and that is Cliff Albright and Latasha Brown with Black Voters Matter. So it's, I'm blessed to have, such a colorful background and experience, and it's shown me a few things, when it comes to this thing called life.
Oh my goodness, I think I'm gonna smile that last wrinkle I got away. I tell you what, I am just so excited. I am beside myself. Go ahead.
Come on.
Go on.
You need to write a book.
I do. There's been some conversations about it because there's the experiences that I've had in my life, I now realize because I was so adamant about having my father's story told, the things that were really unveiling in my life, made people kind of gravitate like, hey, wait, you have your own story,
Yes,
And
You
so
have 3
I'm
books
just
in
now
you.
coming around to that, recognizing that, but you have to live some life some. I've lived just a little.
yeah.
You've got 3 books in you now.
Okay, 3.
3.
Well,
Yes.
let's
Yeah.
have it unfold for the, for the folks who are watching and listening to this. I believe you told us earlier that you were 2 years old when Dad passed away.
Yes.
What's the earliest memories you have of him?
I actually don't remember anything.
When I say him, I mean not him personally.
Yeah, I know the essence of him,
his
but
child. When did that begin to get filled in for you?
so it's an interesting process because while I don't have any actual memories and I also don't have any photographs, there's a feeling that I've had this entire time that lets me know that the time that we had together was something special. And so I cherish that more than anything. Like that's really, faith and love at its best. Right. But my father's music was always played in the house. There was nothing like Donny Hathaway, then there's Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack.
Yeah.
So,
please, Lord.
Absolutely. Living legend, Roberta Flack, who I love with all of my heart, Auntie Roberta. It's so there hasn't been a time where he wasn't, really pronounced. I didn't really get it until I was a teenager, until I was almost 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it was, one, I was blessed to have a normal childhood. And I thank God for that because, my father did pass away tragically and it can lead to attention being on you for all kinds of reasons, right. But I didn't have the name Hathaway growing up. And so I think that really protected me and, let me have a normal life. Mm-hmm. But, the folks who knew. And every once in a while, someone would come up to me and say, oh my God, your father was the greatest. And I love this song. And oh boy. And it's like, okay.
You look just like
can I go play Super Mario Brothers now? So it was, something that I heard constantly. And then also my mom put me in performing arts, everything. I play piano. Look at these fingers. Like I play piano. For the longest time, I took dance lessons. So I was always around music and the arts. So, but my taste in music started to change when I was 18. And then a lot of the artists that I looked up to listed my dad as an influence. And so that will always get someone's attention. Like, oh, this person that I likes my dad. Like, oh, let me see what this Hathaway thing is all about.
Who were some of those people? Who were some of those people that you liked, that were
at that time? Like this is early 90s.
Sure.
So Boyz II Men, Brian McKnight, those two in particular.
Yep.
They were pretty vocal. And especially Brian McKnight still.
Especially Brian McKnight. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did get a chance to meet him a few times during that first album. And so I went and looked, I listened to Everything Is Everything. I took my dad's first album, like, let me just listen to this. And from front to back, and I flipped. Like, oh my God. oh my God. And so then the immediate next thing is, well, if Donny Hathaway is in the same vein as Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye, then why hasn't he gotten his flowers? And so that began really since then an ongoing question that I've had for folks, like the adults around me, like, so why isn't there, fill in the blank? And, some of those answers I'm still seeking. Yeah. So, but it's been a journey. asking that question.
Hmm. Hmm.
You did your early interest. I heard you say music, performing arts. Did you? Where'd you go? Where'd you grow up? First of all,
Now, there's only one place I could have grown up, and that is the South Side of Chicago. Born and raised. Born and raised. And so a lot of people don't realize that my father is a Chicagoan. He was raised in St. Louis, but he was born in Chicago and later came to live after he left Howard in Chicago.
Wow.
In fact, this is kind of a slight sidebar. When my dad started working with Curtis Mayfield after he left Howard, another band that he worked with is Earth, Wind and Fire, because that's also Chicago.
Wow.
And so, Earth, Wind and Fire and the Isley Brothers have this versus battle coming up, I think Sunday, Saturday. Yeah. And so someone told
I
me.
love the Isley Brothers, but they ain't beating Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh, I'm not gonna get into that.
But we're not.
I mean, I love them.
We're gonna tell this story. That's what we're gonna do.
I don't want to start. I don't want to start nothing.
Okay.
But a birdie told me that my dad is on some Earth, Wind and Fire demos.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Your dad could sing.
And I was trying to get in contact with Mr. White before he passed away when I found that out. And it wasn't too long after I found that out that he did pass away. But even in his book, he made reference to Maurice White, my dad, and one other person becoming a trio. And it was just like, oh. The world wouldn't have been ready for, can you imagine?
No.
I have to remember who the other name is, but even just Maurice White and Donny Hathaway.
Wow. Now, one of the things.
Go ahead, Miss C. Go ahead.
One of the things you said you didn't grow up Hathaway.
Mm-hmm.
You took the name on.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask if it's okay.
You can ask me anything you want.
The name you grew up with. What name did you have as growing up? And when did you take on Hathaway?
Yes. So if I can share, just because this is very recent for me, I have an older brother who he's 8.5 years older than me. And that was from my mom's first marriage. And her last name was Waskin. Their last name was Waskin. So I was Donnita Waskin growing up, and everyone would always pronounce it wrong. That was always fun. Okay. But my bonus dad, who I've been blessed to have in my life, my entire life, actually passed away last Saturday.
I'm sorry.
And so I actually have a picture here of, this is us in Chicago.
Okay.
And so, the thing that I loved about, him is he taught me unconditional love.
Yeah.
Like I was his daughter. And so wherever we would would go get something to eat, maybe some pancakes or something. And he would tell the waiter, "That's my daughter. That's my daughter." And so, he's someone who I'm going to miss terribly. But, that level of, I think that was really a godsend. He was really a godsend to me.
Absolutely.
For a number of reasons. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And poured that love into you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, please hear and accept our sympathy, our hearts, and our prayers go out to you. They go out.
Thank you.
You went to high school, I assume, in Chicago. Did you go to university? And so at some point you got into the music thing. I'm trying to,
I went to the University of Life. What ended up happening was after high school, I did go visit Howard because, that's where my dad and Roberta, where they went to school. And this was early 90s, and DC scared me. That was crack era DC. Like I was scared. Now it's I feel one of the most beautiful cities that we have. I love DC.
Yeah.
But at that time, as young as I was, it scared me. What I didn't realize is that really 2 years after that trip that I would lose my mom.
Oh,
And so I lost my mom at 19.
oh.
And from there, and really a little bit before then, I just started working. And so any odd jobs that I could get, I was an usher. And so oddly enough, I would see all of these free shows, like all kinds of things, anything from a circus to the Grateful Dead, to the Rolling Stones, to Missy Elliott and Biggie and Destiny's Child. Like I saw all kinds of things. And so it was really, you know, a blessing in disguise, because at some point I figured out, one, the music thing, the piano, I played drums for a little bit in high school. None of that was going to work for me. I do not sing. I am the non-singing Hathaway, so I'm not going to mess up the family name. But what I love to do is help people. Like even as a kid, I love to help people. I would help. My mom was a school teacher, and so I would help her grade her papers.
Yes.
While I was barely getting by with my C's and D's, you know. But I love to help, right? I love to help. So I eventually put the 2 and 2 together and realized I would love to assist an amazing artist in the business and to make sure that they're okay. You know, I don't know if my dad had someone like that. And so I realized I wanted to be a personal assistant to a recording artist. And so I slowly, what ended up happening is this was the beginning of the neo soul era. So picture like early 2000s, Lauryn Hill, D'Angelo, Jill Scott, and my two of my faves were Music Soul Child and India Ari. And I would, excuse me, what I would do is those who were very vocal, I would find my way to a backstage door. I would pass a note here and there. I might have a sign that says, "Hey, I'm Donny Hathaway's daughter." But I was able to meet artists this way. Hey, you gotta do what you have to do.
Right.
But I became friends, you know, with many of them. Angie Stone is still one of my dearest friends. And when I met India, who I met her first. I said, you know what? If you ever need a personal assistant, let me know. And, you know, like,
that's how you put it out there. That's how
I put it out there.
Consider me.
A few months later, I ended up meeting Music Soul Child. I told him the same thing. And it took about 3 years, I think about 3 years, but I ended up working for music for 7 years. And then I ended up working for India for 7 years.
Wow.
And so that has taken me around the globe several times.
Wow.
And I feel that those are artists who were, you know, in the same vein as, you know, what the legends in the 70s did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so to be able to, you know, give them some support was, you know, one of the highlights of my life. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You must.
Now
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Marshall. Jump in.
Because I just keep the, because see, I want to hear, you know, we've heard there's all these different aspects and facets, like a really precious stone that you are. And so I'm interested in that facet of helping people and how you are doing that today. Dr. Marshall is a clinical psychologist. He uses it differently. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And so one of the things of the many things that we do is to help keep young people alive and free. And I heard you mention earlier some
Mr. Sell, before you go there, can I get my music fix done?
Oh, my bad.
Girl, what was it like being with you? I'm coming back there. There before we go to that. Going around the world with them, that must have been, I mean, just let me put myself, you with music, you with the places you saw and all that. That must have been a ball. Or
it was. It was. I realized, you know, how big and small this world is.
Yes.
I've seen from the richest of rich to the poorest of poor.
Yeah.
It's amazing to go someplace like Jamaica or Jakarta.
Yeah.
And, you know, you land in the airports, you know, your airports are kind of like your representative, especially in the international terminals. Everything is all shiny and nice. And, you get your tax-free, your duty-free items, and but you leave the airport, and depending on which way you turn, and sometimes it's just one road, like you have to go through, these villages.
Yes.
And when you see huts barely put together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like just the way, even the way, people get around and with transportation. One, it's definitely a culture shock, but it's amazing to see just the different parallels and how people suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the same time, you go another 10 minutes up the road and it's paradise.
Right.
It's like,
right. I've seen that.
The one thing, and I've been nearly as many places you've been. I've been a few, but Israel, Japan, South Africa. But one thing, I don't know how it was with you. I never had a problem with people. People, you could connect with people in a heartbeat. And the two things we could always easily discuss was food and family, food and family. And so that was always a great, governments, whatever, but you get and sit and talk, back of a cab, or, you out, and that's that, I think, for me, I guess it was for you because you've been more places, but the people were the best thing of the whole. I don't know how I know you had a great.
I mean, really, the thing that was so universal with everything was music.
Yeah. Right.
So it would be amazing whether it was like Paris or Japan, which have been like two of the most, I think, amazing experiences that I've been able to witness. Mm-hmm. Number one, they love soul music in Paris.
Yeah.
It's the city of lovers, all of that.
Them loving on my list of things to do.
Yeah, those shows, there was one show that I did with music. I wouldn't call it a club, but it wasn't a theater. So I guess technically it was a club. And there were so many people in there and it got so hot and you could feel like the energy, like just buzzing that they had to cut down the lights. Cause lights are naturally hot.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was so sweaty and it was just such a vibe and connection that they had to cut out the lights. And it was like, well, can you still see me? Yeah. And, they would go on. And, so what's also funny is, everyone would sing along with the songs. And then in between when he's talking, it's almost silent because, it's a different language. But as soon as they start the song, Japan really surprised me. Ooh, those kids there, but they got it. Those young kids there. In fact, there was one show that we did afterwards. I think it turned into almost like a club and the lights were low and the kids were just on the dance floor dancing. If you didn't know any better, just by the silhouettes, you would think you were in the hood somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I was amazed.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Oh, Jakarta, like, come on.
Hold on. I'm in Japan now. So.
Yeah. In Japan, they're so much more advanced than we are.
I remember being in Osaka.
Osaka.
In Osaka and going in. I'm a big jazz guy, right? And I walked in and they pulled out vinyl. I mean, they pulled out vinyl, right? And put it on. And it was like, I thought I was at the Blue Note in New York. I mean, it was incredible. The Japanese, I mean, their love of music and our music is just, so imagine what that was.
The crazy thing about Japan is I would go into a store and then they would say, I'm sorry if my English isn't as good as it should be. And like the way they were talking, like, you're speaking better English than me. Like, like you enunciate, you say the full word. And a lot of people did that. It's like, you're so fine. You're so beyond any,
Light. Oh my God. Incredible. This one, arigato. I mean, it was one.
Arigato gozaimasu. Yes, 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 yes.
Wow, you know.
I love Japan. I love Japan.
Particularly,
I didn't want to. That was one place I went to. I did not want to come home. Japan.
So my joke, and she's heard me tell this, is me leaving Osaka, where I mean, I remember going into a store to get some souvenirs, and you know, I'm this one place, and you know how here you on your own. I mean, this lady took me upstairs, and you know, took me to the place and made sure. I mean, they were so attentive. It was incredible. So I got used to that, and I was only there 10 days. I got used to that. So I remember getting on United Airlines and come back home. The flight attendants, and I was like, "Oh hell, I'm going to get back off this thing."
That's right. It's over now.
It's over.
Yeah.
I'm going back to America.
Like why?
You
But I will say something.
You know what you're going into.
Yeah, something about that trip. I know for me, two things. We arrived in the hotel lobby, and you know it's rare to see another Black person. And I turned around in the lobby, and a young man that I went to high school with was right there.
Oh my goodness!
It was like, wait, Keith?
Holy!
And so it turns out he's a drummer for the Black Eyed Peas. And it was just like, wait, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? So one, that's like 2 degrees of separation. That was like, whoa. But the other thing about that trip that really kind of activated something for me is the question of why does America say it's the greatest country in the world? They didn't have gum on the streets in Japan. It was in Osaka. Like it's
cleanest city I've ever seen.
Unreal.
And then
unreal.
I remember women walking home at 3 o'clock in the morning, not in a cab, walking home. You know, 3 and I said, aren't they worried? They said, nobody will touch her. Nobody will touch her. You know, I'm like, and I got to go back over here. You know, yeah.
They had the simplest thing, like if you get into an elevator and you press the wrong floor, you just press it again and it deselects the floor. Simple things. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, why am I?
Thank you. But you know, and that can lead us back to where Lady Estelle was, because America being the greatest country, and I think the work that you have come to, and Lady, you can go right back to that, and you're doing what you do now, and your passion for helping people, which has now led you to what you do. How did you get into that? I mean, did the music thing wind down for you, and you decided to do something else, or are you still doing both, or you know?
Well, one, music will always be, you know, first and foremost. But at the time, I was in between jobs. Mm-hmm. And so like I was still working, but not full time. Mm-hmm. And so I was free to do, you know, whatever it is I wanted to do. And so at that time, I had created the Donny Hathaway Legacy Project, which I'll love to talk about more in a few. And I was, you know, really nervous about taking on that endeavor because it's something that I've never done before. But I knew, you know, the mission that I had and the things I wanted to get across to people, and being able to heal and help and have conversations and all of that. And so I know for every situation that I had in my life that there is my God looks out for me and sets me up. And so LaTasha Brown, who is one of the co-founders of Black Voters Matter, we were Facebook friends already. And I kind of knew she was somebody, like she's somebody.
How did the two of you meet in the first place? How did you become friends?
I'm assuming that she requested my friendship after I did something.
Okay.
She requested, I had a lot of invites from folks who were fans of my dad. And so I would just see her, you know, on my timeline, but we had never officially met.
Okay.
And so she put up but I knew she was somebody by the things that she posted, you know, like I just instinctively knew. And I've had that gift of being able to kind of sift through and go, oh, this one, yeah, okay. And so she put a post requesting or needing assistance with the position that she was working with at the time. And so that just happened to be in the philanthropic organizing world. Mm-hmm. And I said, aha. I don't know much about that world, but I do know about helping and assisting folks. So, let's do a trial and see how we work together and how I gravitate to the information if we like each other, and see, where this will go. And she ended up transitioning out of that job, but came back around when both her and Cliff Albright started Black Voters Matter, right, which has really grown into, really something amazing. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we met. And we worked virtually for the longest time before we even saw each other. But there was an instant connection, and I saw something not only in her, who I knew first, but in the work that was being done, in the message that they were conveying. It was in alignment, in direct alignment with what I wanted to do. And so I felt that I was, being blessed to learn, how to run, nonprofits and build relationships with communities and have conversations. I was taking a master class.
I see.
And so as asking the question, how am I going to be able to do this? God provided the answer. Lord. And, we've been connected ever since.
And
it's really that simple.
That then paved the way and gave you the information, I guess, a better feeling about the organization you want to set up in honor of your dad. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. So the Donny Hathaway Legacy Project is one is a 501c3 nonprofit, which I'm so grateful for that we've reached this point. But I was really adamant about, really keeping the legacy and the music going when it came to my father. He has contributed a lot to the entertainment and music industry, and I felt that he deserved more than what he's received. So the basis started there. At the same time, I was constantly seeing social media posts in particular with young Black kids who were committing suicide.
Yeah.
There were still famous people, well-known people, where you get that sympathy when someone tragically passes. Oh, that's so sad what happened to Robin Williams or Phyllis Hyman or Don Cornelius. It's well, where was that sympathy, and where has that sympathy been just for mental health, period? Right. My father sadly passed almost 41 years ago. And while mental health has definitely grown in the past couple of years, maybe past 5, maybe 10, it is nowhere near where it should be, just in terms of being able to recognize it, talk about it, treat it, and live with. And so that was very frustrating to me. And so really the light bulb kind of just went off. One of the approaches that I have is using music as a healing tool. What better, not only just as, to use my dad's music as an example, but any music, any sound, music has saved my life so many times, in particular, even this year. When it was one tragic event after another, right. I put on some music. Another thing that saved my life absolutely is laughter. Mm-hmm. Give me my favorite comedian, give me my favorite TV show or, comedy special. It literally will lift whatever, state of mind that I'm in, it will elevate it. Another equally important part is physical health. What are you eating? Do you know about nutrition? Do you know the foods that you're putting in your body and the effects that it has? Do you know the importance of water, not only for being hydrated, but just for your mental health? Your brain is 75% water. Your body is we're primarily made of water. It only takes 2% of dehydration for it to affect your cognitive health. Drink up. Drink up, drink up, drink up. That.
All right. Let me do this right now.
There you go. Water, not only to drink, water to the power of lakes and rivers
Around the
and
water.
oceans.
Yes.
Even just a bath. A bath is a lost art. They don't even build bathtubs in apartments anymore.
Took a bath for so long.
Isn't that crazy?
Like really? Like,
People
you know,
are
you go
in a
to
hurry.
some hotels, some apartments, they don't even have baths anymore. Like it's a lost art. And I get that whole thing. But you can clean beforehand, and then you can just set the mood, have some candles or
Right.
bath bombs, you know, whatever you use, and then, you know, just sit in water.
Mhm.
That is so therapeutic.
It is.
Also strongly believe while we can't pray away people's pain and just expect that to be it, like you can't pray away mental health, you do need prayer. You absolutely need a spiritual foundation in something. You have to believe in something higher than yourself in order to really believe you're going to make it through whatever it is. And then also the gift or really the impact of celebrity. A doctor can tell you to do all of these things. Mm-hmm. But if, you know, fill in the blank celebrity says, if Beyonce says it, mm-hmm. It gets a certain level of attention. And so the way that I look at it is a lot of these artists admire my father and are fans of his. And so I think that one of the ways that they can pay homage to him is to help, you know, bring light to this subject. And let's start the healing when it comes to, you know, really the hurt that a lot of us are feeling in our communities. So, you know, those are just some of the properties that I use under the Legacy Project umbrella.
And I know more and more celebrities are talking about mental health and their own struggles. Mm-hmm. Michael Phelps, the swimmer, Taraji P. Henson, big deal. Yeah. I mean, really, has done a lot in that area. Athletes, I mean, Kevin Love, I mean, a lot of NBA players are talking about it. And I mean, it's absolutely necessary. It is. I mean, it's
absolutely.
And just thank you for stepping into that niche, really, especially in honor of your dad. And that's a lot.
At the end of the day, we all deserve to live the best quality of life possible, period. So that's why I don't operate under like, well, you're schizophrenic or you're going through depression or anxiety. Like, hey, you're living, you have a pulse, like you're breathing. I'm talking to you. Like we all will go through things in our lives, or, you know, you can just have a bad day, bad week, whatever. We all, while we're here, deserve to live the best quality of life possible. How do we get there? You know, and a lot of it starts with, I believe, in the root cause of things. What was the thing that one day like my father wasn't always a paranoid schizophrenic. Something happened that set up, that was a trigger. Now we have these words now. That was a trigger that was the beginning of an onset for him.
Right.
You know, for a lot of people is when a parent dies or a grandparent passes away. Right. Or again, it could be an accident. It could be a variety of things, like become successful and then lose all your money. Like, are you supposed to just be okay? Like, how are you supposed to function when, you know, in his case, you know, he's so gifted and really didn't have anything to show for it. You know, there's so many things that we all go through, and no one experience is different than the other, but we all can relate to that feeling of not being loved, not being heard, not being appreciated, taken advantage of, being abused, being violated. We're all Black people. We can start there. Like how far do you want to go with this?
Right. Yes. The individual trauma and the collective trauma, and it's all layered on us. And you know, there are times that we said it's amazing that we're still here, and that we've been able to be as wonderful and brilliant and you know as we have been. But those layers just, it's ever present.
And they stack on top of each other.
Yeah.
And you have to do your best to knock as many of them down so that they don't stack up, because it only takes one phone call, one message, one news flash to change everything.
Absolutely.
In fact, none of those things that I mentioned could have affected you, but what if it's just a natural disaster?
Oh,
What if you're in Nashville, like I think the other day, the city had massive floods.
Right.
yeah.
People lost, photos and in like their homes and their cars. Like it doesn't always have to be like someone did something to you. What if it's Mother Nature? Again, it's just so many things. We need as many tools as we can possibly get to be able to handle when life happens.
And
Yeah.
then feel good about seeking out the tools. See, that's the other thing that prevents one from getting the help, the support, the guidance that they need to deal with their mental and emotional experiences, because they don't feel good about it. It's stigmatized, and it's a negative that's assigned to it, that's attached to it. So
we have to kill that stigma. Like it's unrealistic. It's unhumane to think that, Black men don't cry. You got to be strong all the time. Same for women.
Black women don't cry, or else they're too emotional, or whatever the stereotypical cliches that are assigned or attached to people and what they're supposed to do and can't do an oughta, the shoulda, you shoulda, you oughta. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you not me.
Living like yeah.
But a lot of the things that they say that we shouldn't do are the exact things that you should do.
That we need to do. That's right.
Like even with the water, it's nature, it's drinking, but also crying can be so therapeutic.
It is healing.
And it will save you from, really going in a different direction.
I got to say, you're such an optimistic, refreshing spirit. And I'm gonna use the word spirit in this materialistic world, because it's all about the people don't matter, only money matters, when the things that should matter supposed to matter are people. And I can you describe where you got it from and how you keep it? Because can you? Or maybe
I
you
can.
And if you can't, that's fine. That's just you. That's
I can.
But it is astoundingly refreshing.
I went through a lot of pain. And oddly enough, it's when the physical pain caught up to the emotional pain. In the kind of the oppressed pain, like the things that we just kind of hide. It's like the elephant in the room. For me, it was the death of my mother. After she passed, in a lot of ways, I just went straight to work. I really didn't grieve her. And it was interesting because, quick story, we were leaving my mother's funeral service, and I got into the limo and I asked the driver to turn on the radio. And so my mom went to St. Louis the last year of her life to live. And turned on the radio, and Back Together Again comes on the radio. And I knew right then that she was fine. It's like, okay, this is St. Louis in the middle of the day. They don't play my father's songs like that. For it to be that song at that time, and whatever led me to ask the driver to turn on the radio, I heard that song and I knew that she was okay. And so in that way, I did. She was with my dad. She was with her people, our tribe, that part. But then there's just missing your mother, right? And not even being 21. I did my best to take care of myself and do the things that I was supposed to do and be responsible and be the woman that she, groomed me to be. But I started doing a little too much work. and overextending myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up causing me back pain.
Mm.
Like I lifted up something, it was too heavy. I did it the wrong way. I really hurt myself. It ended up being a slip disc. And it was that way for a while. And then 2 years ago, I had moved to LA. I'm at a red light and a U-Haul truck hit my car from behind.
Lord.
Now it was a minor accident, but a major physical injury. Like it affected my sacrum. I had chills and I had spasms, not chills. I wish I had chills. I had spasms for months on end. I couldn't sit more than 5 minutes. I couldn't stand more than 5 minutes. I couldn't carry more than 5 pounds for months on end. And so, you know, God likes to, you know, teach us lessons. Like maybe you need to sit down. And, you know, I did my best to provide for myself. And oddly enough, Latasha had come back into the picture, like, because there was a few months where we were apart. And when she started Black Voters Matter, she gave me a call. This is right after that accident. It said, I started this organization with my partner, Cliff. We need your help. So that helped me kind of sit down. What happened was I get to a very long point of healing myself. I went to a wellness person, someone who I know, and had like all kinds of acupuncture and just cleansing of the mind and the body. It was like a wonderful session. And long story short, she went to stretch me afterwards and like did way too much, way too fast. Like and totally rehashed my injury.
Mm.
And it was at that point, it wasn't immediate, but it was this feeling of I'm never going to be able to be normal again.
Mm.
And so it was that, okay, wait, okay. Like I can't live the rest of my life this way. And so even before then, that initial pain, the first time, really was an onset of me looking at everything. Like, okay, if I'm going to be in pain and I have to do this work, let's just go through it. Let's just go through it. You know, and so I went and healed as much as I could heal, but I had to acknowledge that there was pain there. And the thing that did it for me, to be very transparent, like I live a very lonely life. And I realized that I had closed off any potential of love because of the me not having my mom. I didn't want to hurt like that again. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people can, again, relate to that heartbreak of not wanting to be alone, mm-hmm. or not wanting to be hurt, you know, because you have to be a lovely thing called vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Right. And, you know, it was really acknowledging that and say, wait, I want to have kids one day. I don't want to be alone. I want to live a life with someone. And so I started to break down the walls then. And so even now, dealing with, you know, this latest injury, again, it was the physical that really caught up to the mental. And, you know, that was a rude awakening.
Wow.
Yeah. We are definitely awakened on different levels that helps us see what we need to do to open and allow full healing to happen. And it's a process. It's a journey. It doesn't come all at once. You know,
it does not. Like at the end of the day, it's work. Right.
And it's work you got to do.
You either work against it or you work for it. So if you're going to do the work for the greater good.
This is wow.
Wow.
Let me just say, Latasha is lucky to have you. We're lucky to have you.
We are so lucky.
But I mean, just you being there, you know, supporting, you know, her in this battle.
Yeah.
Apparently never-ending battle. You know, just to get the vote, much less, you know, to be free. Is,
right.
And it's just, you know, it's funny because we're going to talk to her and we'll hear her story. But hearing yours, it's like you got to have everybody on the bus. You got to have the right people. You got to have everybody making it happen. And this has just been wonderful. It's been tremendous. And this we're gonna meet him. We gotta go down there and meet this girl in person again. We gotta hook up. All right, we're just gonna make it happen.
Yeah, you're in Oakland?
In the Bay Area. Yeah, we're in the Bay Area. San Francisco, but
one of my favorite places. In fact, I don't know if I can get a close up on this chain, but a lot of the leaders that I have on this chain, absolutely are from the Bay Area. Huey Newton. I have like all of the ancestors on here.
Yeah.
Wow. But
we're
yeah,
everywhere.
I love that area.
We just physically here, but we're all over the place. And when this thing finally
I want to go to Oakland.
We will, but this has just been great. Then your whole life has led you to this point, and all your experiences, and we need you, and we're lucky to have you. Because it's a war. It's not even a battle. It's a war. It's a war for us. Yeah. And just thanks for spending this time with us. I know I'm grateful, and I know Lady E is too. And we'll probably go home tonight and get all my Donny Hathaway songs. Although I ain't gotta go. I got my phone.
Oh, come on. In fact, let me see if I can grab something. Do I have it nearby? Hold on one second. I'm going off camera just for a second. I want to grab something really quick.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Wow. Whew.
How amazing is that? It just doesn't get better than that.
All right, here I am. I'm coming.
All right.
We're
waiting for you too.
All right.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know if you're hip to this, but last month, Rhino Records had a Black History Month series called Rhino Black.
Okay.
And so the Donny Hathaway collection hasn't been available for some time. And so this year they did a reissue. One, they have this same image is now in color, but on the inside is purple vinyl. It's limited edition purple vinyl.
Wow.
So, for the real music lover, I don't know how much longer they're going to have this, but this is definitely a collector's item. So I think if you go to rhinoblack.com or any Black, in particular, record store.
Did you say
they had some of the vendors?
Rhinoblack.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Rhino is in rhinoceros, Rhino Black.
I-N-O, yeah.
Oh, Rhino. Okay, Rhino Black.
Yeah, that's a Malcolm.
I know. My son is.
Yes.
He's a DJ and Vinyl's back, and he'll
he's gonna have a fit.
He'll jump in my lap if I give him.
Donny Hathaway.
That boy like that. Oh, that pop, get that. So yeah, I'm going straight.
Yeah. So this I love. Actually have this here, so I'm going to show it just because I can. This means that y'all are special. I just happen to have this near me. This is a picture of my dad. I believe he is still in grade school.
Oh my goodness sakes.
You see that?
Yes.
I can trying to get it straight. All right.
I can see.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no. 99.999.
Thank you.
In fact, I got one more. I know this is, I think it was a recital.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I know the reflection's a little.
Yeah, reflection. There we go. Now we see him good.
That was him in high school. And then he went to Howard and they couldn't teach him anything. No, really, like that's what the professor said. Like he was so gifted that they couldn't teach him anything.
No, they said all you got to do is do what you do. Ain't got nothing to say to you except do it. Yeah. I just need to say to you that I love music, Donny Hathaway. have always loved it and will always love it. And I will sing whatever I can, especially a song for you. That's my #1 favorite. But I also want you to know that you on your own, Miss Donnita Hathaway, are a legend as well. Keep doing the work that you've been given to do. And if you can't get up and run around and carry heavy stuff like you used to, then you sit down and you write those books.
I've just been, ooh.
You've got a book about your dad. You've got a book about your journey. And then you've got a book that's going to help guide people from just the challenges that life brings to living life with joy to the fullest. You've got 3 books in you. Okay. And you don't have to reach deep. All you got to do is just start writing. You think about your dad, just start writing. You think about your story and you just start writing. That's going to be the first one right there.
Wow.
And then that sequel. And now this is what you do. It's in you.
And the great thing about it,
yeah,
the story ain't over. We're alive more.
Yeah.
Right.
We're still here.
You know,
That's
there's more.
right.
You might just get to chapter 15 and you got another 15 that's coming. So just keep on doing what you're doing. Just keep on doing what you're doing. And you need Lady Estelle and myself. You let us know. We got you. We got you. You know, we all in this together. We're all in this together. And thank you for spending this time with us. Really, the world stopped for a minute, and that's fine.
Stop for me. I'm like, what?
It's about to start up again. This is over. So, thank you so much, hon. Really, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. If I can leave with one parting word, 2 things very briefly. As brilliant as we were, we've just been singing my dad's praises, and as brilliant as he was, it didn't stop him from, unfortunately suffering the way that he did, and unfortunately taking the life that he did. So there's no level of fame or genius or accomplishments that can hide the pain that someone's going through. And it's very important to recognize and acknowledge that. And then also a song that we've mentioned today, Someday We'll All Be Free.
Yes.
The message that I wanted to, or even the question or the option that I want people to think about is, let your someday be today.
Yeah.
Let today be the day that you no longer remain in any level of pain and trauma.
Like that.
Like there's, you make that decision, because there's someday doesn't exist on the calendar. And as beautiful and as necessary as that song is, like faith without works, like we have to put in that work, unfortunately. But we have a community of folks and family and people who love us and will help us along the way. So you're never alone. There's always support. I've received it on this call. So it's, know that everything will be all right at the end.
Let someday be today. That's perfect.
Let your someday be
right now.
Let it be
perfect.
Thank
you so much, Donnita.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be back. We'll do this again soon.
Oh, and then we got to do the date. Okay.
Oh, we can turn the recording off for that.